still looking at elements and compounds. So this is a language of chemistry, and I've already shared the screen. You can see the screen with where you are. Of the things we are doing, just
Yes.
like the things I posted on StudyMaster. I'm sorry I couldn't respond. I'll make sure I respond to those that managed to do some of the tasks there. The tasks are just here to boost your confidence. They're not part of the continuous assessment. When you do continuous assessment, I'll tell you. But it really helps if you're going through the tasks and then I notice if you're making a mistake, we guide each other. That's how it is. So now on elements and compounds, it's very important that we understand the concept of diatomic elements. Diatomic elements. So these are the ones listed in this table: hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So now, if you've noticed, there's no astatine. Astatine. Have you noticed that there's no astatine here?
Not the morning.
And yet,
Yes,
astatine is not group astatine on the periodic table. What group is that?
Group 17.
It's group 7 as well, with the chlorine. It's the same group as bromine, chlorine, iodine, and fluorine. But then the reason why there's no astatine, if you remember, so we said astatine does not exist in nature. It has transitory existence during radioactive decay. So now, if something is decaying, that's when it becomes astatine. And so it's not stable. Like, it doesn't really stay like that. It is radioactive, very radioactive, such that it disintegrates and forms other elements. But if you came across astatine in an equation, since it is also in group 7, your assumption is that it is also diatomic. You should also assume that it is diatomic, because that one, the question that should involve astatine, ngabami pera ba lecturer nangwa examiner nishibale bomvya vini academic, like they're just trying to measure your academic understanding that all halogens must be diatomic, except acetone doesn't exist in nature, but if it did, it should also be diatomic. So now, what this means is, what the poetical setup is that if someone says hydrogen reacts with oxygen to form water, taufide wadembaka H na ka O, wadembaka H plus O equals H2O, wamano kubalansa iyo. When someone says hydrogen reacts with oxygen, you must remember that hydrogen and oxygen exist in nature as diatomic molecules. Are we together, guys? Are we together? Ayn.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, Master.
So that's the thing. So if someone says hydrogen reacts with the oxygen, what you say there is H2 plus O2 gives us H2O. Why? Because hydrogen and oxygen exist as diatomic molecules. So even like combustion, if someone says methane burns in oxygen, the oxygen, no, you are my oxygen. You are my oxygen. You're my oxygen. Ngole mweba ila tevo. Nishule mwewe kutila. Niwe mwela mpema. Like, without you, I can't live. Ule mwewe mwa umenangu. Nangu gelo. Ule mweba fianishi. The oxygen you're talking about is the O2. So, when you're writing that equation of methane plus oxygen, the oxygen you must put there is O2. If someone tells you that chlorine reacts with sodium, the sodium will just be Na, but the chlorine will be Cl2. Why will it be like that? Because chlorine is a diatomic molecule. Guys, these are very important elements. You must understand them from that perspective. Even iodine, someone says iodine is produced if you have said bromine plus sodium iodide, giving you sodium bromide plus iodine. The bromine, the free bromine, must always be Br2. The free iodine which is produced must also be I2. Why? Because they are diatomic elements. We've mentioned their characteristics. I'm sure you know so much about bromine that it's a reddish brown liquid. It's used in the test for alkenes, dechlorize bromine. I'm sure you remember that, yeah? So that's the thing. So these are things we've written here. We've only appreciated the oxygen, it's part of the universe. The nitrogen also part of the universe. So nitrogen is most abundant, but it's innate, like it doesn't really react that much compared to oxygen. Are there any questions on diatomic molecules? Iron guys. Are there any questions?
No.
You've understood, isn't it?
No.
But that's what people do.
Yes.
When I let them test, understand that oxygen reacts with copper. Ala bacha, kai vinci numbure po copper. Na brain nga mvafe cha nyu na brain yako meka. Oxygen reacts with copper to form copper 2 oxide. So van ena ka oxygen alemba fe ka okam. Asa na mkushinina. Ulipio tebo pa fe imo. My mother. And yet that's not the case. So we said that some elements, most of the elements are atomic, like sodium, argon, copper. Most of them are atomic, like the symbol you see on the periodic table is one that you replicate when writing the chemical equation. But some of the elements, the ones we've stated, are molecular, because these diatomic elements are molecules. Why? Because there's bonding there, covalent bonding. The nitrogen bonds with another nitrogen by sharing of electrons to form the molecule N2. So that's the case with the three bonds, three covalent bonds, which has triple bond there. So the molecular ones are the diatomic ones. Even there are some others that are polyatomic. They're also molecular. That's what you say. It's e.g. S8 sulfur. Mwebena mufudira mweba kwa sana sulfur yingi kuya. Sulfur ila shita bond muma complexes up sana kuna ba S3, S4. So if you just see that there's a subscript, the symbol, and it has a number of it combined together, or ozone, all those are molecular elements. So those are the things that you must know. Are there any questions? Are there any questions?
Sorry, repeat what you're talking about sulfur.
I said sulfur bonds with itself differently. You can find S4, S8, all those you should say those are molecular. They are molecules of sulfur. That's what you should say. Not atoms of sulfur, but molecules. They say the distinction here is molecule and atom. So I'm sure you say you are able to do this project. The elements that are metals, we already said what the metals are last time. 2 elements that are liquid at room temperature, there's only mercury and bromine. 5 elements that are gases, not noble gases. Noble gases. So either hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, fluorine, and chlorine. Those are the ones. Then those ones identify the states at room temperature, 20 degrees Celsius. I said room temperature most cases is 25 because it's an average. But then this book, or this American book, they chose 20 because it's a range from 20 to 30. It's not a fixed temperature. So hydrogen, in what state is it? It's a gas. Sodium, solid. Calcium, solid. Nitrogen, gas. Sulfur, solid. Iron, solid. Chlorine, gas. Bromine, liquid. Neon and argon are noble gases. So we must use periodic table and understand those. Identify those ones. I'm sure you can identify. So those are the ones that you should go and do. You should know which one is a metal, which one is a non-metal. And remember the metalloids, we listed them. Just continue to go through them. We listed them, said boron, shan, toilet, barium, said. So you must understand that perspective. Mwachira asuka guys in. How was the exercise? I'm sure it was nice. It was interesting. Potassium.
Sir,
Yes.
It should be something the exam.
when I go per Zoom, it's just ending on practice 1, that's all.
Which Zoom man?
Oh, study master. When I log in study master, when I want to check the questions, it's just ending on practice 1. The rest of the questions aren't doing anything. They're not showing.
Go and check again. And make sure you use advanced editor.
You should
refresh your
refresh
page.
it. Refresh the page.
Refresh your pages, okay? Yes? Yes, guys.
Me, I don't know. The challenge I'm encountering, I don't know about others, is that it's cutting the words. Like, it's not complete. You can't see everything.
Even me here.
To my phone.
Mine is tripping. I can't even log in.
What's the word? What does the word tripping mean? Mulimayo sana guys, mwe. Tripping. They haven't done Nicki Minaj. You are tripping. Okay. We'll make sure we'll transfer all these. Guys, the way I'm putting on Study Master, I think I explained to Mpenda. I should explain to you. Study Master, we are using it because it's the one that has a register. If you are asked to say, were you having any classes? It's only Study Master that they can check and find the register, your name's there. It's the one almost falling and Study Master. In fact, some of my friends tabafa no kubomfefya Zoom because bashwata Zoom taba munene okumona. But then we just have to do this because you guys are just starting and you need this visual knowledge. So that's the reason why we do that. So Mpenda suggested something nice to say. I also put a PDF there. Then I also told them that some of you are so clever that I wanted to make a PDF. Sasanga Word document, mu group. The same notes. So that if there are people who are that creative, let's be helping one another and sharing the knowledge. That's my thought. So now, guys, about elements, we are done. About elements, we are done. Remember, the most important of the elements you must know is a symbol. So if someone says SN, what's that? SN. What element is it? SN. FE. What are the elements?
FE, right.
Is iron. How about SN? How about SN?
Tin. Tin.
It's tin, eh? It's tin.
Yes.
So those are the things. You must know those things, okay? Guys, after elements, the next thing is compounds. Compounds. Very important compounds. Because they're the ones that are formed in the chemical reaction. Remember, guys, that's the reason why you guys, you say when you're breaking up with someone, you say there was no chemistry. There was no chemistry between us. Yeah. Nishuleo chomutima. Nishuleo chomutima kaka teenage. Abapena mulipa stage, guys, this is when you can break the heart nicely. Because the girl is proud, she's looking in the mirror, she has insecurities. So you just say, it's not me, it's you. She even starts crying. You deserve better. She starts crying even more. In the 30s, guys, banamana kanu kuya. Na mubale. Uli na 30 years. Bala kanu kuya na mayo ule file po alia kukanina. Tepo leo kuondea. Niwe bofye. Unemwano, you deserve better, I deserve you. Mayo mbale. Taya fair. So now, guys, the next thing are compounds. The next things are compounds. Apart compounds and formulas. As I've told you, the book that I'm using is American. So when a formula is about formulas. But if we're British, we say formulae. We say what? Formulae. So
Sir,
yes?
I wanted a bit of clarity on you talked a bit about is it electronegativity? You just talked a bit, needed some clarity on that on the last lecture we had in chemistry.
Electronegativity. Electronegativity is the tendency of an element to share to accept shared electrons. I'm explaining now. The tendency of an element, switch off the mics. The tendency of an element to accept electrons. So the most electronegative accept electrons with relative ease. So that's what it means. Electronegativity is a tendency of an element to accept electrons. So meaning the most electronegative elements are the ones that in a covalent, in an ionic bond, the ones that are able to receive the electrons. Because the electropositive ones are not able to receive, they are able to lose electrons. So if an element easily loses electrons, then it is electropositive. But if it's electronegative, it easily gains electrons. So that's how it is. So the most electronegative element is fluorine. Is fluorine. Why? Because fluorine will accept electrons with relative ease. So then the trend was that as you go on the periodic table, from left, the sodium side, to the right, where there's chlorine, the electronegativity increases. The elements going to the right have a high affinity to receive electrons. That's the best for electronegativity. So the other term is that there's also what is called ionization energy. You go and look it up. But I hope I've explained by electronegativity. I didn't kasana statement. It's just the yes. So now, I was saying compounds formulae is key terms. You must know what a compound is. Molecule. Okay, the objective is to distinguish molecular and ionic compounds and to write chemical formulae for compounds. Ngatawishi befyo kulemba chemical formulae. Guys, you can even switch wangu from biomed to music. For some of you come from manimina album, ngawadi for me. Some of you na choir, no babika pwama okutira nga taliipo chile yacheka cheka. So you must master how to write the formulae. So all the time, guys, formulas are very important for you to know. So then you must know how to distinguish what is ion, what is ion. Then there's cation and anion. Remember those ions. Chemical formula, what is it? A subscript. A subscript is a word below another word after a word below another, like letter or number. A number or a letter below another one. That's like a subscript there. Natural law. You must know what natural law is. Law of definite composition and law of multiple proportion. These are simple concepts. Intro. If the idea is that you already know them. So a compound. Can I switch to Kesel and the party compound bueno power Friday so that I give you the 10 minutes remaining for questions? Or maybe I just continue.
Just give us the questions.
I'm saying
Yes, questions.
not really I give you questions. You ask questions for clarity. Pertaining element.
Oh,
Like a guy has asked a very good
oh.
question on ionization, on what? Electronegativity. Nasa na kwa tinka ilondola then I did. Do you have questions?
Question time, Kanshi.
Tim Fukwe Humphrey.
Yes, sir. I also have a question.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I'm just saying on the issue of notes. I heard you say that in the group they post the notes just in tantamount to what you're supposed to post. But I think it would be better if you just attach the PDF files according to each lesson so that we download it and the things will be in order. That's
Okay.
it.
No, but our group, they are doing a great job. They are doing a great job. Whoever is doing that is doing a great job. Let's be appreciative of our skills. It's collective learning. Don't you kubika in an nabakwati absolute, like I'm the only one who can put something nice there. You guys are also very good. You are very good and skilled. Mom wants a mission Zoom. You are the ones who have taught me Zoom. All the Zoom I know is from you guys that na bueno, but man don't know about it. So what I'm trying to say is that let the knowledge flow and knowledge if we have so ordered if I'm for data, if we have from everywhere because I'm not going to bikwa. So what I want to encourage is participatory learning and participation. So when someone does exactly what I was expecting to do, and do that one. But yes, I've read I'll also be making PDFs. But let's show gratitude. Abika PDF padapanga nangwabika Word document. From boys, what I've told you is the same things on your study master are the same things that should appear on a PDF file. Why? Because when people come to audit a lesson, they will come and check just the conversations there, not the PDF files. So that's the reason why the PDF is just a secondary. Number muntu abula yonse era manotse onasafo kubika pali PDF. Nasanga nabikira mom group nishinagwira inchito ya maningi. Are you getting?
Yes, sir. So I've got a question also on chemical formulas.
Yes.
Like, how do you go about it? Like, the best way you can write them. The best thing, maybe something that you have to know. Like, we have to know for us to be accurate when writing these chemical formulas.
Nga mwamva tata ndifo kundo fekutira tatulamba iyo. Tatulamba. Era barandati mwinshinshanshilanya. Ngadi mwapo statement. Tamayo mwapo. Tatulamba. We haven't started with the how to write this. It's a skill ewo murefu aika so ofuna achitekanisha nokutekanisha first kalondolwe bwino. So in the next lesson I'll make sure I explain. In the next lesson I'll make sure I explain. Okay guys? Mwamvera? Tandio?
Okay.
Tandio, you've raised your hand?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Sir, I was asking that, so
Yes, yeah.
So some no fafe munongandiane.
Yes, you are saying yes.
Nera that
No, I'm not using English. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
I
Tandio, the only English
Sir.
before the under yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
coffee.
No, explain.
Nera that so will we be exam?
Will we be?
Yes, I'm saying that examined in accordance to the online learning because they're not effective for some of us. Okay, me personally, I don't know about the others.
My friend, Tandio, I want to explain. That's a very corrupt statement because we're making very big strides and people are responding. There's a bit of some learning which is taking place here. So for you to label online as ineffective, one thing we can't do, Tandio, is to progress someone in stone free. The essence of what we're doing is for you to progress, you must understand. So you have to fight hard. Read as much as you can, because we're not the ones who have set these things up. It's a natural disaster. There's COVID. So try by all means to understand, because if your expectation is we're not learning effectively, so back to PCF, that's not how it works. In whatever aspect, we are praying to God that COVID deep way, so we revise. So those who have understood more, if say COVID ends in September, then you come in October. It means even travel normal. So you can't come and even appeal to anyone to say, yeah, it's fairly effective. That word defective should be removed. We are trying our best. We are trying our best. That's the reason why. Class. It's the same things I'll be telling you in class. And this time some of you guys are getting these things. So to label it as it's not effective, it's not fair. Because if you said that to our management to say e-learning is not effective, then they'll say, can't you stop it? Because for them, they believe that the reason why we're doing this is so that you can access learning. Because this is the second time you've mentioned to say it's not effective for some of us. You must try and make the most out of it. We're Africans and all that, but we're trying by all means to use this technology, Zoom, Study Master, share, WhatsApp, and all. Some learning must take place, such that when you are assessed, it makes sense. Because in ama questions are tafia effective. Ngapachwana ka question akasuma fyaka akakwa nalondolola bunama elements. Because I'm explaining these things. So to say it's not effective is to say the part of formula on the line. I'm sure you've gotten.
Yes, I've gotten your point, sir.
Anyway,
my apologies, sir.
Whenever I'm back into the next semester, it's very effective. Therefore, you have you. Mumwebesa namba fiashi. Mumwebesa namba fiashi after my results. Tuwapapata sana tata. Tamwaganzange. Hello. Next. 5 minutes. You say, guys, you again? Yes. Raise your hand so that I can see you. But you can say. Yes. I'm waiting. Doris, yes. Madam Simasiku.
Sir, the notes which you sent today on Studmaster are kind of cropped.
They are cropped. Oh, I understand.
Yes, they are cropped. You can't see the other way.
Okay. I'll make sure that the PDF is sent to there. Table few. Sometimes kula bokula yo bush. Kind muntu na la yo bush. All right. But continue
Okay, sir.
refreshing. Continue refreshing. There is 3 minutes remaining. So guys, about elements, understand their symbols, go through the stuff. The only thing that you should know are the diatomic elements and which ones are metals and non-metals and the two which are liquids. So try by all means to understand from that perspective, because when you go into equations, sometimes you're expected to do what are called state symbols. So if you're doing state symbols, if say you have copper, you must remember that the state of copper is solid. Sometimes that's all the examiner will ask, what are the state symbols? So you must know. So if you see bromine anywhere and it's room temperature, then remember the states are with room temperature. Sometimes a reaction can be taking place at 1000 degrees Celsius, where even the copper, which is solid, let me not mention copper, the iodine, which is solid, at that temperature, it may be a gas. So you must continue to understand these concepts from that perspective. So know these things. And before Friday, go through compounds and how to write formulae, especially these key concepts. If anyone can know the meaning of them, the key terms, what is a compound, what's a molecule, what is an ion. Remember, ion and molecule, we already mentioned that molecules are formed when there's covalent bonding. Ions are formed when there's ionic bonding. Then cations are positive ions and ions are negative ions. A chemical formula is a representation of a chemical compound. It's an abbreviation. Then subscript, but H2O. The 2 there is what? Is a subscript. Like a small letter or number that is put beneath a big letter or number. Then the law of definite proportion, we'll come and look at them nicely, from natural law to the definite proportion. But I'm sure you have an idea what it is. Definite proportion just means the percent by mass in a compound is fixed. Whether you have 10 kg of a compound or 3 grams of compound, the percent by mass are always fixed. Multiple proportions means simply different elements can form more than one compound, e.g. carbon and oxygen. You have carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. I'm sure you've seen those. And carbon and hydrogen, you have so many hydrocarbons. So that's the reason. So go through. The time is done. To 40 minutes.